Well, good evening, Steelers. Welcome to tonight's streamed game. I'm running a little bit laggy on the computer. Good to see you, Bjorn. Let me know if you can hear me in the chat. I'm not sure. I'm fairly sure everything's running okay. I'm just gonna. Just let me know if you can hear me okay, as I say in the chat, just to make sure that you can actually my microphone is picking everything up. First of all, tonight we are playing Bag the Hun. This is a solo game of Bag the Hun, which I've done. What rules does the cat use? She uses a kicking over rules. That's what she uses. I don't know if you can see okay in the two different views I've got here for the camera. So I've got the overall view of the table itself, and then I've also got the movable small camera here as well, which I'll be moving around to where the action starts. Sounds fine, nice and clear, good stuff. And good evening, everybody. Good to see you all on board tonight. As I say, the computer is over in the corner, so I'm only going to be able to check the chat every so often, but I will check in. So basically we're going to be concentrating mainly on the game tonight. Evening, Kevin, good to see you here. Good stuff. Your reindeer work tonight, good for you. So Bag the Hun, if you've never played it before, it's the Two Fat Lardies aircraft game. It was written by Nick, largely I think. It's what his modus operandi is usually. He said in the Lardy podcast the other day that I asked the question, why does most of his games are based around vehicles, so like aircraft and tanks, water tanker and Bag the Hun for example, and the ships in Kiss Me Hardy. And he said it's basically because it's a cheap way of getting games on the table. Bag the Hun is a cheap way of getting games on the table, simply because you only need really 4 aircraft aside. You can obviously have a lot more, but you can have as many as you can cope with. Multiplayer games you can go massive, but tonight we're doing it in 4s. I'm using 1/300 scale aircraft. These are from Scotia, Grendel Scotia. Here in the UK, they're about £1 each. It's a very cheap and easy way of getting into this game. What we've got here, don't know if you can see on the smaller camera, we've got these Messerschmitt 109Gs. So we're flying over Russia this evening. These guys are in a finger 4 formation. I'll just show you the card for the Messerschmitts as well. So we've got them here, so you can see the aircraft type. It tells you. These are ones that I just mocked up. I got these from I think Andy, who introduced me to Bag the Hun a while back on Tabletop Simulator. And we got the speed, the manoeuvrability, the altitude, rate of climb, robustness of the aircraft, and the size of the aircraft. Also any specific notes. So the Messerschmitts gets a -1 for anybody trying to stay on their tail when they do a dive or a split S, so they're quite manoeuvrable in that way. They also have their fire factors, which is 12 for the Messerschmitts, and the ammo limit is 16 over there. Let me just see what is happening with the high ship. Where did I get the mat? Good evening, Richard. I got the mat from Deep Cut Studios, and I had the hex printed over the top of it, because this is a hex game. You can play it without the hex. There is, I think it's in the 2012 Lardy special, there is a hexless Bag the Hun version which uses these. Here you can see these, basically they're just templates. I just cut them out and laminated them. It's a little bit more fiddly than using it on a hex map, but it is playable and doable. So facing those Germans over here, we've got the Soviets, and we have 4 La-5FNs. These, I shall show you their cards here. So these are, I've got a speed of 7, so the same speed as the Messerschmitts. They've got a manoeuvrability of 5, so they're actually less manoeuvrable than the Messerschmitts. Altitude of 6, rate of climb 2, robustness 1, and their size is 1 there. Their speed increases to 8 if they are at altitude 3 or below. They can also be upgunned as well to fire fans, so they've got less firing ability than the Messerschmitts. They've only got a 5, and they've got a 12 ammo limit. So the Messerschmitts slightly outgun them and slightly more manoeuvrable, but these are faster if they are lower down. So like most Lardy games, it's Bag the Hun is very much scenario driven, and I've literally just set up a very simple force on force action. So we've got the Messerschmitts over here. As you can see, these are flying in a finger 4 formation, which is their flight leader at the front with his wingman, and then another pair here behind with him and the wingman. These are flying at an angle to the LAS. I don't really know how you to say it actually, like Lagovisions, I think they are, the LA5s, and these are flying in closer formation, so these are in 2 pairs, but they are still within a formation, because if you're within 4 hexes and you're in formation, then you are within formation and you get formation bonuses. So basically, the thing with Bag the Hun is noticeable is it's quite an old game. I think it's at least 10 years old now. It gets on for about 2011, I think it was first written, and you can tell that because it has weird dice. What I mean by that is it uses D4s and it also uses D10s. I mean, a lot of the Lardy games now just don't use those at all anymore. So it's interesting from that point of view. It's also card driven. So these are the cards here. I've printed these out, laminated them and cut them out. And you can see we've got lots of different kinds of cards here. These were just from the Lardy website. I've actually ordered a set of proper cards made up by, I think, Arts Cow, I think it's called, and they are they're on their way back to me from America, so I should be getting those soon enough. But these will do perfectly fine. I should have printed them in colour really, but never mind. So basically what we've got in here is just lots of different types of cards. So Axis section move, Axis formation bonus, Axis section fire, and the same for the Allied as well. And you basically operate on your card when it comes up. There's a couple of bonuses here and there as well, where you will get, so if you're in formation you get a bonus move, if you're at a higher level you get a bonus move, that kind of thing as well. As I say, I've read through these rules quite a few times. I'm going to make mistakes for sure throughout this game, simply because the stuff I'm not going to remember, and it's one of the first few games I've ever had of this. I've played a couple of times solo, but never in front of an audience, so we're just going to see how it goes and we'll get on with it a little bit. One other thing I wanted to mention is the pilots also have experience, and I've, just to make things a lot easier for me, I've decided that I'm just going to give everybody the same experiences. So we've got our flight leaders for both sides is a junior ace, our number 2 is a veteran, our third pilot is a regular, and then his wingman is a sprog, so he's a new pilot. So basically they're going down in order of ability. So obviously the junior ace is the top, your veteran is better than the regular is better than the sprog. And this really comes into the game where you try to do manoeuvres or try to get on each other's tail, because that's basically what you're trying to do. To be able to shoot down your enemy, because passing and firing up people is not the best way to do things. I also have set up their dice as well for the altitude, up to a maximum of 6, so I'm just using dice for this. See, some people use dials on the bottom of their bases. I'm just using dice. The Germans, I rolled for them both before this, and the Germans are at altitude 6, so they're the height, and the Soviets are flying along at 5. Because as we said, if they actually get a bit lower, they get a bit faster. So it's quite nice for that. There's some really nice abstract rules in this, especially when you're flying in formation. You basically, the squadron leader or the flight leader is the one that moves, and everybody else conforms to him if they stay in formation. If he does any dodgy movements or any tricky manoeuvres, they have to roll the dice to see if they keep up with him, but otherwise they stay with him until their formation breaks. So as I say, at the moment everybody's in formation. The LA5s have just basically jumped out on the Messerschmitts. They're coming in here. I'm going to say it's a dull day, so there's no sun, because that's another thing as well, is checking which way the sun comes from. I'm not going to in this particular game, just because I'm trying to make it as least complex as possible. Because, as I say, you know, I've got an audience of 17 people watching me at the moment. If you are watching me, give me a like, please. Please let me know, and please let me know you're out there. Say hello in the chat as well. I will be checking the chat as we go along. And cheers for that, and beyond. Thanks for putting that in there. The rules are from Two Fat Lardies, the playing mats from D-Cut, and the planes are from Scotty Grendel. There you go. All the information you need. So basically, similar to a lot of the old Lardy kind of games, this is done on the pull of the die, on the pull of the cards. And I've got the cards here in front of me. You saw me shuffle them up a second ago. I'll just give them a good shuffle at least. And then we take it in turns. Well, depending on whose card comes up, they can act. So, first up, so we've got the Axis formation bonus. So this means that the Axis, any of the Axis who are in formation, get a bonus move. They can't fire, but they can move. So I think we're going to do that, aren't we? Because it'd be silly not to. So there's my dice. The way you move, you've got your speed, but you also have a dice as well, to a D4 added on to that speed as well. Now, whilst you're in formation, you will conform to the lead aircraft, and in this case it's the flight leader, who is a junior ace. He doesn't have to roll the dice, he can just decide what speed he wants to go up to. If you're a junior ace or a veteran, you can basically decide 1 to 4 how fast you want to go. If you are a regular or a sprog, I think I'll have to check this up when we fall out of formation. But you have to roll the dice, and you're allowed to move up to that amount if you're a veteran. That's it. And if you're regular or a sprog, you have to move the amount that you roll on the dice. These also count as well towards manoeuvres. But so the junior ace gets to choose how fast he wants to go, and they may as well boot it and use all 4. So we're going to take 7 for our first manoeuvre. Let's just check. Now I've got manoeuvre sheets here as well, so let me just show you that. If you can see that on the thing, this is just one that and Andy Crow had sent over to me as well as part of our test game on Tabletop Simulator, and you can see it's got all the different manoeuvres and how easy, tricky or hard they are. The harder they become, so easy, tricky or hard, is your roll to actually pass that manoeuvre and do it and stay in formation, or even be able to do it. If you don't do it, you just literally fly forward with however much you go left. Well, the Soviets are to our right, so I think they're probably going to want to do a turn, probably an easy turn, just to at least get into some space. And this one is here. It costs them 3 speed, and as I said, we're using 11 because we've got the ace is leading the flight at the moment. I don't want to do it too soon because that will take us straight into the guns, but I kind of want to get behind these Soviets, so I want to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go up to 5, up to there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then to do an easy turn, let me just look at it here. We go forward 1, turn, and then turn. So 1, 2, 3 to there. So that's taking us up to 8, and then he's going to go forward another 3. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3. Yes, so to there. So that's the Germans' first move. And as I say, what happens now is, because they're still in formation, the others in the flight will conform to him. Because that's an easy manoeuvre, they don't have to test for it. Even Sprogs can do easy manoeuvres. Now you see, this is the bit where it kind of gets a little weird and abstracted, because they don't all move that same number. Some will move a little less because they're coming on the inside here, like number 3, and then this chap will also move in here, but these are in, let's say, these are in their finger four formation, a typical German form, and they're staying at 6, which is their altitude. The reason I'm staying up there is because they want to have that altitude bonus, because if you're higher than the enemy, you get another bonus if your card comes up, of course. So that's our Germans' first turn. So this is how they're looking at the moment. So let's give you an idea there. You can see them coming in. They're probably a bit dark against this, against the cloth perhaps, but they're facing a little bit more towards the Soviets now. So that's the best place they want to be, really. Okay, only 6 likes, and there's at least 20 people watching, I can see. So jam those likes, hit that like button. Anyway, we're on to our next card, and then we just go through the cards, and all the cards get pulled, and then the turn ends and we start again. So next one is Allied Section Fire. Now you can fire at over 10 squares if you want to. However, the chance of you actually hitting anything is going to be very, very low. So I don't think the Allies are going to fire this turn. You can only fire on that fire section. Aces can fire on their card as well, so they get at least 2 bonus fires. So we're going on to move on. It's the Allied section, move 1. Okay, this one's a bit more tricky now because we've got those Germans heading straight at us. Same again though, they're still in formation. They've got their ace out front, so he is leading, so he gets to decide how fast he wants to set his throttle. These normally do a speed of 7, so they can go up to 11, same as the Germans. Do we want to get up high, get up to 6? I think they probably do, to be honest. I think they want to climb. Basically increases their altitude, but it costs them 3 to go forward. So at the moment I think we're going to do that. There will be a lot more likes if there were French involved. Hi Miles. That's possibly true. That is possibly true. We've had the French involved on this table already. So we are going to do that. We're going to climb 1. So basically the altitude dice goes up to 6 because we don't want the Germans to keep that altitude bonus. So that moves forward 1, but it costs us 3 to go forward. At the moment we're just trying to think about how to get into a position. I don't know if it's worthwhile breaking 2 of them off to go and do some hunting around the side and take those Germans on, or stay in formation at this point. I think, you know, yes, we're going to I think we're going to break off, I think. So this is the flight leader. He's moving with his, I'll just put them back a second, I'm just going to, while I decide what to do with them, he's going to do an easy move, I think, to come a second easy move there. Now, will everybody else follow him? His second will certainly follow him, so he'll just come in here behind him. Just trying to kind of, don't want to do a straight head-on pass with the Germans, you see. But neither do I want to break them up at the moment because I don't want the Germans to get that formation bonus either. So yeah, we're going to keep them together for now. So these ones are going to jump in here and climb as well with them. And these fellows are here as well. So we're heading towards the Germans at quite a pace. You really do like the mat, do you, Miles? Yeah, well, it's a nice one. I'm going to say they're not particularly cheap, but they're well worth it. I'm definitely sold on Wargaming mats these days. I've suddenly got quite a lot of them. Right, so that's the Allied section moving. It would have been good if they'd have been able to get to fire, because they could have just piled forward and maybe fired at the Germans. And anyway, it's the Axis section fire. Now again, they're just a little bit too far away because it's 10 hexes to fire, and I'm using this just to measure it up quickly so I can see how far away it is. And unfortunately, anything over 10 hexes, you can fire at anything on the board at any range. However, the further away you get, the far worse it is to actually fire. So they're going to hold fire for now. And it says the Allied Section Leader 1. Now he can move as a bonus. Well, as a move, he could move his section with him. However, they've already moved, so he can't because he's not a bonus. They've already moved. If that had come up before the Germans, for example, they could have moved and maybe go into a good position. But because they've already moved, they can't. The other thing he could do is spot. However, I'm not using bogies in this game. Again, just to keep it simple. One of the things you can do is have bogies which operate as blinds, and they will move around, so obviously your opponent doesn't know what they are. In a solo game, it's not a great deal of point in having bogies, because I know what they're going to be. So now we've got Axis Section Leader 1. Same again, if they hadn't moved, he could move, but they've already moved, so that's them done. So we go altitude bonus. Now this is that extra bonus card I was talking about. However, now the Soviets have climbed, they are on 6, so nobody has got the altitude bonus. What they need to do is start knocking their opponent down below them so they can jump on them. Bailout. If anybody wanted to bail out at this point, this would be their chance to do it. Top aces and junior aces can also do this on their cards as well. But nobody wants to bail out right now. Now we've got the Allied formation bonus. The Allies are still in a formation, so that means they get a bonus. And again, they can do that. You can use this to either spot or move. Obviously, in this case, they are going to move because we've already spotted the Germans anyway, so there's no point in trying to spot them. So this is going to give us a nice little bonus for these guys. And I think I am going to split them into 2 units now. Again, to try to shift them round the Germans. So let's see. We're going to go 1, 2, 3. Easy move. He is using 4 for his speed, so that's going to take him up to 11. So that's 3 used up. 1, 2, 3, and he's going to go 1, 2, 3. So what are we on now? 9, 10, 11, and that will bring him to there. So facing off against the Germans just from the side, and he's going to bring his wingman with him, so he will conform over here. So these 2 guys are still flying together. Don't know if you can see the Germans in the background there. And then we've got on the other side, we've got our regular and our Sprog, and they are going to break off. So because he's a regular, I'm going to have to roll the dice for him to see how fast he can go. Oh, 4, so that takes him up to 11 anyway. So these guys are going to go 1, 2, 3. So that's a 3 move. 1, 2, 3 forward. Let's go 5. So that's 8 so far. And do another easy turn. 1, 2, 3. So that's his 11. That brings him up to over here. These are still in formation. They're just in a pair formation. And that ends the Soviet Allied formation bonus. So I don't know if you can see that too well, but they've decided to split into 2 pairs to try to get round behind those Germans. That's their plan. Let's have a look at what people are saying. Well, I stand the camera up. Drunken camera. Does a mat have hexes? Yes, it does. Game is looking good. Never played Bag the Hun. Thank you, Eric. The SOS audio is super low, is it? I do apologise. Let me see if I can turn it up for you. I think I may have got it on full. Maybe it's just because my microphone is quite far away. Let me shift the microphone over here. Is that better? Do tell me if that's better. It's a bit closer to me, so that might be a bit better for you. Okay. Next up, we have the Axis Junior Ace bonus. Now, this is where he can either move or fire or any number of things, or spot if he can. However, he's already moved, so they've kind of negated that really, because they want to stay in formation at this point. I could move him again, break formation and go for those Soviets, but I'm going to hold on to it, I think, at this point. Better, eh? Good stuff. There you go, just shoved it up close to me. Right, Allied Junior Ace. So again, he could move, but his unit has already moved. So again, he can't really do a great deal. Can he fire? I think the Germans, again, we're still a little bit too far away for firing at this point. So I'm going to say no, he's not going to fire. The Germans are just over the edge of how far away we should be firing. So we're not doing that. And our last card is the Axis Section 1 move. We haven't moved those yet, actually. I thought we had. It must have been their bonus, their formation bonus. That was it, yeah. So the Germans actually get their normal move now. So that's pretty good. So we can try to get them set up into something else. Top left cam is 1940s gun cam. Yes, it is. Much clearer. Thank you. Good stuff. There you go. Now I know where to put the microphone for future. Teething problems. Okay, so we've got the Axis section move. So with the Soviets splitting off, I think it's probably pertinent for them to maybe either go for one or two of the particular sections. So I think they might actually push forward against the two on their own there, I think. So let's have a look. Again, they're going to be led by their junior ace, so he can choose how fast he wants to go. So he's going to go at 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe to there. 6, 7, 8. If he gets to there, that's 8. And then he's got 3 more, so he can go 1, 2, 3. And get these guys heading down towards that section there. So again, these are staying in formation. We're only doing easy manoeuvres at this point. So they conform with their flight leader, the Schwarm. Let's put the camera over there so you can see what I'm doing. Fingers crossed you can see what I'm doing if it doesn't stop falling over. So I've just had one too many light ales over lunch. And I know this is exposing the flank to the Soviets there, but kind of want to get into a position where they can either fire at those Soviets or try to get on their tail as they pass in front of them. We'll see. Alright. And the bottom right is a strategic map. Yeah, I should be pushing them around with sticks, shouldn't I really? Okay, so that's first turnover, and already you can see there's quite a lot of movement has gone on. So it's not long before you're actually into the action, even when setting up quite far away from each other, because you've got those bonus moves and formation moves, bonuses and things. You know, it really speeds the game up. None of this just moving 6 inches and then stopping and moving 6 inches. Yada yadas. Right, so Axis formation bonus. So that's these guys. So we're going to have to try to get in behind those Soviets. Ever thought of giving the names and doing like a flight roster going out on sorties like a campaign air type? Well, it's my first game online and I'm trying to keep it as as simple as possible at the moment. In future, yes, they will have names. However, right now they're just pilot A, B, C, and D. Just because it's just one less thing to think about. That's all. Nothing more to it than that. Now, we could try to get these Germans behind and do some break turns on the Soviets. That might be one thing to do. I'm trying to have a little think about what they want to do. They're going to remain. If they remain in formation, they'll get the bonus. So I think they're going to turn, or the leader is going to turn and try and come down here. I think in between where the Soviets are. I think that's probably the best thing to try to get around behind them. So he's going to go. We're using 11 again. So 1, 2, 3. That's his easy turn. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh. 9, 10, and then one more forward. 11. Oh, there we go. So that's got them pretty close. Not spot on yet. The Germans haven't broken formation just yet. We don't really want to at this point. So again, I'm just conforming these. And this is the nice thing as well about this set of rules, is that when you're in formation, everybody flies the same. So there's no messing about moving individual figures. You basically put them all straight back together as soon as you're as soon as they've moved, as soon as one has moved, nice and quick. So we've got potential there for some axis firing actually, but it is it's not the best position to be firing at. But if the axis fire card comes up, at least they've got a chance of giving a short burst off of the Soviets. Alright, so it's the Allied fire section, section fire. However, they can't fire because there's nothing. They fire directly forward because they're fighter planes have got no rear firing aircraft guns, so they're basically banjaxed for that. Altitude bonus. Neither has the altitude bonus, so we just skip that. Then we get the Axis Junior Ace bonus. Now only he can fire, or he could move again and break formation, but he's already still in formation. So shall we break formation and try and get him behind those Soviets? That might be a good idea. I think he can almost get on the tail. One of those Soviets there is a Sprog number 4, so he's probably going to be easy pickings, isn't he? So it might be worthwhile even coming up and doing a break turn, which is a much tighter turn than your normal turn. It means he's out of formation, and they will lose their formation bonus, or at least one of them will. Oh, I don't know. It's a bit tricky, isn't it? Because if he's got a wingman with him, it's even easier to stay on their tails as well. But if he can get on the tail of that Sprog, oh, decisions. What do I do? What do I do? I think I'm going to go for the break turn. You know, I think he's going to go and try and get behind that Sprog. I think that's the best thing to do at this point. Watch out for the honey in the sun. Absolutely, they're everywhere. So let me just 100% check. But you've got to do a manoeuvre test if you want to do any tricky manoeuvres or hard manoeuvres, and doing a break turn is a hard manoeuvre. So to pass it, for a tricky manoeuvre, actually no, they don't need. It doesn't need to. It says here Sprogs must pass a manoeuvre test for a tricky manoeuvre, and Sprogs and regular must do it for a hard manoeuvre. So veterans, aces and the above don't have to do it. unless they're damaged. Their aircraft are damaged, I think. Tricky now. Pilots in formation must take the manoeuvre, but that's it, I think, from what I can see. So he can actually do these tricky manoeuvres if he wants, if he's got the amount of manoeuvre. And as an ace, he gets to choose how much manoeuvre he wants. So he's going to go for his full 11. And I'm going to try to get him in on a break turn, just behind them. We could also have perhaps have an altitude loss as well. I think is we roll a d6, gets a +1. If it's 4 or above, he stays. He's okay. If it's a 1 to a 3, he loses an altitude. And right, I'm going to think about how we do this. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 forward. The break turn costs him 4. He's best to come round this way, I think, isn't he? So let's see, 4, 5 to there, 6 to there. Let's go to there. So that was 6 to there. Then he's going to try for this break turn. So he goes forward 1, turns 1, and then forward another 1, turns again. So it's a much tighter turn than before. That'll take him up to 4, and we've got to do that test that he see if he stays at the altitude he's at. So we test, he gets a +1, and he basically needs a 4 or above, so he needs a 3 or above. 4, yes, so he stays at 6, so he's okay. So he's got 1 more speed he can use, so he's going to use 1 more just to go forward. And miscalculated that, but there he is. He's broken formation, and he's at least behind those Soviets, so he could at least move in on them next turn, maybe do a couple of barrel rolls. See, it's tricky, and as I had not really played the game that much, I don't really know the manoeuvres too well, so it's a bit difficult to get into position. Anyway, Axis section, fire 1. So we got the Axis, they can fire. Again, I see we're up on 18 concurrent viewers, only 10 likes. Come on, hit that like button. You know you want to. So we got some firing actually at this point. So we got the Axis firing. Unfortunately, or fortunately for the Soviets, only 1 of the German planes can fire, and 1 of them isn't that top ace. So the only one that can fire is this chap here, who's going to let off a burst number 3, our Soviet regular. Now the way we do this, I do apologise. I'll take you through how we do it. So we start off with the fire factor of the aircraft firing. So for the Germans, for the Messerschmitts, this is 12. So we have 12 dice. First of all, let's gather those up. Need a lot of dice for this. He's coming in from the front deflection, this direction here. So he's only allowed a maximum of a short burst. So a short burst gives him no extra modifier. He's not on the tail. Dead close, 2 hexes or less. No, he's actually at 3 hexes because you count the hex that the aircraft is in. So he's not. His long range is over 4 hexes. No, he's not. He's at the proper range, and extreme is over 8 hexes. Size of the target per rating over 1. No, these are 1 rated targets because they're fighters. Target isn't jinking. Target's not a sprog. He's not a junior ace. He's not a top ace. The firer has a wingman. Not anymore. The pilot of the firing plane is wounded. No. Attacking from out of the sun. No, it's a cloudy day. We said that at the start. And there's no other characteristics. So he needs 5s and 6s to hit. So we roll all of these. Now, for every 1 that he rolls, if he rolls more 1s than 5s or 6s, the guns are jammed. Also, if he rolls 1s, he uses up some of his ammunition. So we need 5s and 6s and 1s basically. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 hits, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 ones. So thankfully his guns didn't jam, he needed 5 ones. I should also roll our d10 as well for the damage. I forgot to do that. I'll do that in a second. But first of all, we would increase the number of ones by 2 for each burst. If it's firing a long burst, which is not, or the fire is a sprog because they use up a lot of ammunition. We reduce the number of ones by 1 for each burst if the fire is a junior or a top ace, which is not, and the fire is on the tail, which is also not as well. So he just crosses 4 of his ammunition off first of all. So let me just do that while I remember. And this is pilot number 2. 3, 4. So he's already used up a quarter of his ammunition. Not the full 9 yards, but about what, 3 yards, 2.5 yards. So that's 4 hits in total. We'll roll our d6 for the damage, d10 for the damage. So a 7. So when we do come to again, check out the damage. Now we roll the defender's saving procedure, and it's the current manoeuvre rating of the aircraft. The manoeuvre rating is 5. So that's 5 dice. We add 1d6 for each hex of range between the fire and the target, and the minimum being 1. So there's 3 hexes between them. So we add another 3. Also for the defender's luck, we're firing at a regular pilot here. A regular pilot gets no modifier, and he needs 5s and 6s to save. So he needs to save 4 5s and 6s on this. Oops. Smashing up the Luftwaffe. At least I know where they were. I'll try not to knock these about too much. So we need 5s and 6s on this. And what have we got? We've got 1 6. So only 1 save. So we check the number of hits against the target's robustness. The target's robustness is 1. And then we check how many hits. So it's the total number of hits. So it's 3 against his robustness is 3. A C damage, which is critical damage. We roll a d10, consult the critical damage column on the table below. We've already rolled our d10, so that's a 7. So for a single engined aircraft, a 7 is critical instrument damage. So that's doesn't sound good, does it? Let me just look that up quickly in the book. Looks like he might be having to head for home. Looks like the Germans are already smashing them up. Critical instrument damage. Serious problems with instruments or control cables, severely affecting the responsiveness of the aircraft. Aircraft must break off combat and head for home at the best available speed. May not initiate combat. May only make easy manoeuvres. Manoeuvre rating permanently a -1. Attackers automatically stay on the tail for any aircraft that suffers a result, which they're not on the tail, unless the attacker chooses not to. Sprogs who suffer this result must head home. Aircraft with a star against robustness ratings are also on fire. Well, they don't have a star, he's not a sprog, but he is damaged. So good shooting there. Let me just write this down. Instrument damage. I'm going to put head for home. So it's not a kill, but he's certainly driven one of them off. Now you see, the thing with this game is different. What's different to other aerial combat games that I played, like Wings of War, Wings of Glory, is that they have basically, you know, like they might have 16 hits on their aircraft, and once 16 hits is up, your plane is destroyed. In this, you don't have hits. It's what the actual damage is. It's very specific to the aircraft, because that's how real life works. You know, you don't have 18 hit points on an aircraft and then it just crashes when all 18 are used up. Things like, you know, the wing comes off or that kind of thing. So unfortunately for him, so we said our manoeuvrability is down to 4 now. I'm just going to mark that as well for this poor guy. So he's going to have to get off. He'll have to come off this table edge where I'm standing here at the moment, because that's their table edge. So he's going to have to try to head home and get out of there. So far, the Germans are doing all right. I'll just show you that aerial combat going on there. So this fella has blattered him. That was some good shooting. That came in at the right angle. I was hoping for that ace to get in behind him, but it didn't happen. So anyway, we have Axis Section 1 move. So this is everybody moves for the Axis. One moment. My wife. Let me just reply to her. Right, so now all the Axis aircraft can move, as I said. Come on folks, 18 watching, 12 likes. There's 6 of you out there, you either like it or you dislike it. If you dislike it, give me a dislike as well, that works. Just get those algorithms popping. Say hello in the chat as well if you're watching. I'm only checking in the chat every so often, but I am checking it, so don't worry too much. Incoming communications from HQ, absolutely, 100%. Got to keep her happy. So we've got the Germans doing their thing, but the problem is now we know they're not going to be able to fire again until their turn. Right, but it means that the ace can move again because his move was a bonus move, and it means that the rest of them can also move as well. Right. Well, I think I'm going to keep these two in formation at least. This guy is now out of formation, but because their ace is no longer flying with them, these have to adjust their speed now. So we have to roll for the speed for him. For number 3. Now number 3 is a 2, so that gives him 9 speed. Sorry, I've got to stop knocking these dice about. So he's got these two have got 9 speed if they stay in formation, which they're probably going to try to do, I think. And again, I'm going to try to get these. I'll not get them in behind, I don't think. Or will I? A nice easy turn might be good. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe. I don't know. It's a tough one. Let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If he did a break turn, but then he'd have to test for it because he's in formation, or at least a Sprog would have to test for it. He may break off and just disappear off into the sunset. Who knows? If I work it out. Come on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't think he's just too fast for that break turn to get in behind that Soviet, and he can't pull up to slow himself down or anything. So I'm gonna have to come round a slightly longer angle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think to there. So 6, and then he's going to go for a break turn. So a break turn will then take him 1, 2, 3, and basically 4 to there. So he's not on the Soviets, he's just outside of the shadow of the Soviets' tail, unfortunately. But let's see if he manages to get up with him as well. He's supposed to come in here. But this is a Sprog, so he's going to have to test to see if he can actually get in on that break turn as well. I'm going to roll for his manoeuvrability first of all. Let me just find where that is. The manoeuvre test, so he's a Sprog, so it's a -1 straight away. He's doing a tricky test, so he needs a 3 or above. Because he's a Sprog, he gets a -1, so he needs a 4 or above. 2, -1, so no, the Sprog doesn't make it. So he goes, as I said before, goes sailing off basically. He's going to end up, where will he end up? He'll end up there, I think, thereabouts. If you fail with a manoeuvre, you basically at the pointer manoeuvre, you just fly straight forward, depending on how much you've got left on your speed. Let's have a look. Hi Alex, I know you've made your own flight stands. What height are they and what thickness of plastic have you used? I can't remember the thickness of the plastic, Paul. I'll have to find the actual thing that I bought them from on eBay. But let's just have a quick look for you. They are 2-inch basically, 50 centimeters, 50 millimeters. It's about 5 mil wide, I think, those rods. So 5 mil by 500 mil, 50 mil, 5 mil by 50 mil. You know, you don't want a 500 mil. That's 5 meters. No, that's 50 centimeters. I'm tired. Leave me alone. Okay, so that's the Sprog. He failed his manoeuvre, and this man was trying to get in behind the Soviets but couldn't. Now we got the other guy as well, the other German. So we've still got that ace as well to move. He's probably going to come round for another attack on the front. So let's have a look. We've got a roll for him, and he is a veteran. So he can choose up to the number that he's rolled, but he's rolled a 1, so he can only go 8 anyway. He could pass through them. I'm not going to. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, forward, 6, 7, 8. So he was just done an easy manoeuvre of a turn there to come round. Now the ace is again in a weird position because he's on the other side of those Soviets there. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. He's just on the other side. Cheers, Andrew. Nice looking bases. I couldn't have made those. Oh, of course you could. There's only super glue. It's only acrylic rods and pre-cut hexagons. That's all it is, with a magnet on top. Nothing more. Right. I don't know if I'd get away with selling them. So the Germans are all over the place at this point. As you can see, they're completely scattered to the 4 winds. And we need to get that ace back in on the action, don't we, really? So he gets to choose what he wants to set his throttle at. I'm just trying to have a look at some of these manoeuvres to see what you can do. They're a bit... you could always do a tight... come up and do a tight candrel. I'm thinking about doing another brake turn into this to come round here as well to see if I can get a shot in. But the problem is they're going to be moved by that point, by the time they get another shot. So I'll tell you what he's going to do. I'm going to get him ready over here, I think, and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and he's just going to go 9. That's all he's going to do. Loiter about there, I think. You can see that from the gun cam. So far, you can maybe make this out. I'm not sure how good the image is over here, but we basically got the Germans spread out at this point, so they're out of formation. So now the Soviets are going to get formation bonus if it comes up. I think it's already... has it come up? Let's just check. Let's have a look at what we got already. Axis formation bonus. Altitude, no. So the Soviet one hasn't come up. Anyway, our next one is the Allied section move. So we've got these again split into 2 different groupings. One is the junior ace, the other one is the regular on his wingman. So now that German junior ace is actually on his own, so he's quite an obvious target. But we've also got this German here who's got his back to us, so it might be worthwhile then trying to flip round and get in on him as well. So I'm going to move the junior ace first of all. And he's going to do maybe a couple of break turns, I think, in this first instance. So these cost us 4. He's going to use 11 up. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's cost him. Now he's facing which way? He's facing down that line there. So he kind of wants to be a little bit over. So that's 4. We're going to have to do a manoeuvre test for our man here, because he might disappear off. Let's see, can we do a barrel roll at least? That will cost him 6. It's a tricky manoeuvre, but he'll be able to pass it because he's a junior ace. So I think he's going to do it. That would take him up to 10. So a barrel roll goes 1, 2, 3, and then 2, 1 to the side, and then 1 forward. So that's his barrel roll. So your man following him has got 2 manoeuvres to test. That was him using up 10, wasn't it? So he's taking it up to 11, I said. So we're going to put him up to there. So the other guy has got to do his test, his manoeuvre test. This is a veteran, so he gets a +1 anyway, and it's a tricky manoeuvre. So 3+ for the first one for the break. So he's passed it. That was a 6, and then 3+ for the second one, the barrel roll. He's passed that, another 6. So these two guys have stayed in formation and are slowly heading in on that German there, which is not what the German wants, but it's what Stalin wants, and that's all that counts. So we've got these two now. They've done a nice tricky manoeuvre to get themselves directly behind that German. I think your man here, the veteran, is in direct line with that German, so that's maybe some firing might happen, but he's quite far away, so we'll see. Axis. Oh, sorry. I do apologise. I haven't even moved the other the other formation, have I? The other section. Completely forgot. The problem with playing solo is you forget things easy. So we've got these two guys. I've got a roll for them. 1. So that takes their speed up to 8. And they kind of want to get away from the Germans. Well, your man has got to anyway, and he's going to want to dive. And the other guy is only a what you call a sprog, isn't he? So first of all, your man who needs to go home is going to dive 2. So drop that down to 4. It basically costs him nothing. And he's got 8 speed. So he's just going to go 1. He can only do easy manoeuvres as well. I don't know if I made these hexes too dark or not. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I use up 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to there. So he's pedal to the metal and trying to get out of there. And then we've got our sprog. He's kind of sitting in the danger zone because there's a German ace facing him, and then there's also the other guy over there right behind him. So this sprog doesn't want to be doing anything crazy, I don't think. I want him to get him. I need to get him really back towards where the rest of his section is for strength in numbers, if nothing else. That's a difficult thing, isn't it? Right. So he's going to be doing speed 8 as well because he was in formation. But now he's broken formation. So we're going to go 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So he's going to come in behind him, but obviously not in formation. I just want to get him as far away from that top ace as possible at this point. Right, so that was the Axis Allied section moving. So it's the Axis section leader. Now this is the top ace, but it's not a bonus move. Thank you for liking, Mac Daddy. It's not a bonus move. It's, if he was able to fire, he'd be able to, but he's not in a position to fire, unfortunately. So this is not a bonus, as I've said about 3 times now. So we have Allied Section Leader 1. Same again, if he was able to, he could fire, but unfortunately he is at the wrong angle for firing at that German there. That's our leader, our Allied leader, and the closest German is this one here, and he's just out of his line of fire. So we move on. Allied formation bonus. Right, well, we've got a formation because we've got these guys. These two are still in formation here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ahead though. Is there anything he can do to slow himself down to get in behind that German and do a... Well, they could actually, both of them could do a getting on the tail test. That's something I forgot from the last one, but they're a bit far away. I don't want to do it at this point. I want to get in closer on them. And I don't think there's anything they can really do to come in behind that German. Ooh, it's a bit tough. I'm just having a look at if there's anything that they can actually slow down. I don't think there is. We don't want to do any hard dives or anything. They can't climb. I don't think they can climb and descend in the same turn, but they might be able to. I don't see why they wouldn't be able to. There's a few things you can't do. Let me just have a look. Let me just check that. It always makes for a good video, doesn't it, when someone's checking the rules. So we have a look. Climb. Climb maneuver. Descend. Yes, he says, may not be performed in the same move as a maneuver that includes an increase in altitude. So you can either only climb or dive. You can't dive down then climb up again. So they can't. Oof. We're in a sticky situation with them at this point. I'm not really sure what to do with them. Again, perhaps just to try to slow things down by maybe doing a barrel roll. That will only move them forward 1, 2, 3, 4 hexes, and it only costs them 6. Yeah, let's see how much. Well, it's the top ace anyway, isn't it? So he's going to go at 10. So I want to get the top ace in behind that guy anyway. Sorry, the junior ace behind that bloke anyway. So he's going to do a barrel roll for that 6 cost, but only go forward 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Still going to put him in a rubbish position really. So that would cost him 6, 7, 8. No, yes, he can do it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8. So yeah, this actually puts him perfectly right behind that German there with his barrel roll. So because of that, let's see if the other guy is able to do it. He needs a 3 or above. 2, no he hasn't, so he just flies forward. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, they were doing 8, weren't they? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 2 in front of the German, in fact. He failed to do the manoeuvre, so he just bombed forward instead. So that's broken the formation. But thankfully for the Soviets, they've got that guy in his sights. So this is a getting on the tail test. No. So this means that we have to roll to see if we can get on his tail test. And if he does, wherever that German moves, the Soviet will move with him, unless the German is able to throw him off his tail. So let's get this set up here so you can see. So we'll get red dice. So the attacker's modifiers. The attacker is a junior ace, so he gets a +2 straight away. He's not attacking out of the sun. He's not damaged. He doesn't have a wingman anymore. Does he have a higher maneuver rating? 5 against. No, he doesn't. The German has a higher maneuver rating. The defender is aircraft number 2, and that's the veteran. So there's no modifier there. There's no live gunner. The defender isn't damaged, and the defender has a higher maneuver rating, so it's -1. So that becomes a +1. So he needs a 4 or above, but he gets a +1, so he needs a 3 or above. 5. So he's actually on the German's tail. Roll and flip it. Yeah, he's trying to work it out, Kevin. That's the problem. So we're on the German's tail. So we basically have to stay on the tail, depending on what the manoeuvres that the German decides to do, and he is going to have to test for those as well. So what we really need now is that Allied bonus, leader bonus, but it's already gone. No, it hasn't. I thought it had. What was it I was looking at? Allied section leader had gone. There we go. Allied junior ace bonus. Perfect timing. So he can actually fire at that German now on his tail. So, of course he's going to, isn't he? Because he's coming in from the rear, he can decide what kind of burst he wants, and he can go for a long burst, a short burst, or a squirt. Obviously, he's going to go for a long burst. Now, this should really make a mess of that German. I say that, he'll probably just roll loads of ones and run out of ammunition straight away. But anyway, the Soviets, they start with a fire factor of 5, because they've got their guns aren't as good as the Me-109s. Let's just test what else we've got. He's going to give him a long burst, because why ever not? It gives him an extra 4 dice. So I say it's already totting those scores up. He's on the tail, so that gives him another 2 dice. And we're dead close, 2 hexes or less, so that's another 2 dice. God, this is building up quick though, isn't it? Target isn't jinking. The target is, what did we say it was? Number 2 is a veteran, so that's no effect. The firer has a wingman. No, not anymore. He could have done if he'd have actually paid attention and been able to fly properly. There's no other pilot characteristics, and then so we're looking for 5s and 6s to hit. Same again. So what we got here? Oh, that looks like a lot more 1s and 6s. We've got 3 hits. However, we've also got 6 1s. So not only is the gun jammed, he actually halves the amount of his dice that have hit. So I'm going to half it down to 2 instead of 3. He needs to recharge his guns on the next movement card. But aces can ignore the first 1 thrown, so he ignores that, so that takes it down to 5, but it's still more. He increases the number of 1s by 2 if he fired a long burst, so that takes him up to 7. But he reduces the number of 1s by 1 for each burst if he's a junior or a top ace, so that takes him down to 6. So he uses up 6 of his ammunition. Put a lot into him there, and probably won't get much out of this. Just mark those off. That's junior ace. Let's see if he damages him. Roll the d10 for it. So he's got a 3 as well. So the German, on the other side of that wire, he rolls his current manoeuvre rating, which is 6. I think he's probably going to come out of this quite well. Add 1d6 for each hex between the firer and the target. So that's just 1. The minimum is 1. He's not a sprog. He's a veteran, so there's no modifiers, he just needs 5s and 6s. And, oh, I'm completely wrong, not a single one. So that's 2 hits against the target's robustness. So the target has got a robustness of 1, 2 hits is a C, and that is a cockpit hit on that German. Let's quickly see what the cockpit hit is. These are the things that aren't in the on the quick reference sheet. I should keep this open at this point, shouldn't I? Cockpit hit. Windscreen damaged by fire or leak from engine or gun side damaged. He cannot aim. Minus 3d6 when firing for the rest of the game. 1 column shift to the left on spotting. So he's not spotting anymore, but he's getting minus 3 on his firing. So I'm just going to make a note of that. This was our vet who'd already damaged a Soviet plane. So let's see, minus 3d6 firing. Write that down on my little mark there. Right. So pretty good going there, I guess, for the Soviets. Not too bad, not too bad. And that's perfect timing that his card came up. And the last card is bail out. Nobody wants to bail out, so they're all happy enough to carry on with what they're doing. So I'm going to shuffle the cards again. I'll shuffle them on the big screen. Say hello in the chat, by the way, if you're enjoying this. I don't know if I'll get the entire game played. I'll play for another little while at least. I didn't realise how long it'd been going on already. We will see how we go. It's 1 for 1 at the moment. Although this is on to what, turn 3 or 4? I can't remember which. Right, anyway, we're up. So it's Allied Section 1 move first of all. Let's see what happens. I hope it's Harman in that 109. Yes. Perhaps. Right, so we've got the Allied section to move. We've got the ace over there. I could get him into behind that sprog and do a little bit more shooting, I think. That might be a good idea. We can try and get him forced down or forced off the table at least. Let's start with him. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then he's going to barrel roll as well. 1, 2, 3, 4 basically, and then he gets 1 more. So that would take him up to 10 because he did a snap turn and then a barrel roll. And then he's going to get him behind that sprog. Do a getting on the tail test. Let's have a look. I'll see you there. If you can see that. And we've got getting on the tail. The attacker is a junior ace, so it's +2. Defender is a sprog +1, so that's +3 so far. He has a higher maneuver rating, so that's a +4, isn't it, in total? So basically he needs a 4 or above, so he can't not get on his tail. So 6 becomes a 10, so yes, he's on that sprog's tail, so he wants to be firing as soon as he can. Looks like a good game. One to pick up for sure. Yes, it is. There's a lot of detail in it, Richard. It's a good, if you like your fighter aircraft, a cheap intro game as well, really. Oh, do you know what I've just done? What an idiot! I've moved the Axis when I should have moved the Allies. It is late. I do apologise, everyone. I'm going to move him back. 1, and then he was 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. He was somewhere about here, I believe. I'll leave him about there. Sorry about that, folks. I moved the wrong one. So I'm going to do this guy who's damaged. He's going to dive another 2. So he's got a speed of 3. So that gives him a speed of 10 in total. But he's dropping down by 2. Can't believe that. And then forward 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So he's got to here. So he's almost off the table at least. Our number 3, our damage 1. He now gets a speed of 8 actually next time he activates, because he's at that lower altitude. And then we've got our Sprog, who again kind of just wants to get away really, because he's got that junior race chasing him. So 3 plus 7, so he's got a speed of 10. 1, 2, 3, bring him to there. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Just want to get him just as far away from that junior race as possible. And we've got the other 2. Now this guy is on that guy's tail, but he needs to clear his guns. So let me just check how we do this. 11.6. I think you just have to fly straight and level. Yeah, to attempt this, pilot must straight and level for his full turn and roll a d6 at the end of it. Sprogs unjam on a score of 6, regulars on a 5, veterans on a 4, and chop ace and junior ace on a 3 or more. So he's just going to have to barrel forward and try to unjam. So he's going to be doing a speed of 11. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's going to put him just there. Just mark that. Then he needs to try to unjam. So I'm just going to roll that dice, see if he does it. Let's have a look. What did we say we needed for a junior race? 3 or more. A 3, so yes, he's unjammed his guns at least. And then we've got 1 guy left. I'm going to try to get behind that German ace actually. So his speed is speed of 1. So he can go up to 8. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So he's going to come round and get to there. So he's actually in a position to get on that ace's tail. So he's going to try. It means he's quite far away. He's 1, 2, 3, 4 hexes away, 5 hexes away. So that German should be there, shouldn't he? So yeah, he's 4 hexes away. But I'm going to try it. Because you've got to try these things, haven't you? Got to try these things. Right. Getting on a tail test. So the attacker is, it's number, who is it? Who are you there? Number 2. Number 2 is our veteran. So he starts with a 0. He hasn't a wingman. He hasn't got a higher manoeuvre rating. The defender is a junior ace, so -2. And the defender has a higher manoeuvre rating, so -3 or more. So basically he needs a 6. Well actually no, he can't get on his tail because he needs a 4 or higher. So the junior ace is flipping around in a much more manoeuvrable aircraft, so he can't, but he can fire at him, but he just can't get on his tail. Okay, so he's kind of stuck there. So that was the Soviets splitting up. Then we've got Axis Section 1 leader. He now can't fire. This is not a bonus move. No, it is actually, because he can move, can't he? He can move as a bonus. Because he's on his own, I believe. unless he's already moved, I think, as part of the section. I'm sure he can move on his own. Let me just 100% check this. When the character's played, yes, it says when he's provided he's not previously not been activated this turn. It's because he's just a section. It's not the he's not an ace. Well, he is an ace, but it's not his ace card. If that follows. So we've got the Axis formation bonus. I don't think the Axis are in any kind of formation at this point, so that's ignored. Altitude bonus. Everybody is at the top height, so nobody gets the bonus this time. Allied formation bonus. Again, they're not in formation. And then Axis junior ace bonus. So this is our man with a plan. Can he do something like a split S or a Immelman? Can do an Immelman turn. Well, he could, but he's at his highest altitude, so he can't actually do the Immelman turn, unfortunately for him. So he might have to do something else. See if we can do something like, if he did a Chandel, he'd have to go up as well. I think he's going to have to do a couple of break turns, really, to try to get round behind or back onto the tail. Or maybe even try to go for the Sprog over here, I think. I think he's going to do a couple of break turns. What time are we coming up on? 10 to 9. We've been playing this for a little while now. Let's have a look. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 for his break turn. That's cost him 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then use up his last one, 11 to there. So he's just out of reach of that Soviet who was on his tail. Fortunately for the Soviet, Johnny Red. So that was a junior ace bonus. Allied junior ace, where is he? Okay, finally, he might be able to get back into the game. Maybe shoot at some Germans at some point. His guns are unjammed at this point. So what's he gonna do? Should he do a couple of break turns and try and get in on this German here? I think. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. He was going to go his full. So I'm making him go his full, so he's there. Just in front of that German there. Fingers crossed the Germans won't get a shot at this point. We'll see. Allied section fire. Axis section fire. Yes, so we've got who can fire. So well, there's this chap can fire out that junior ace, and there's that guy. Our German junior ace is just out of shot, and nobody else is in. So bad timing there. But let's do this firing here first of all. What are we doing here? I think these rules are going on my list. I was looking at PSC Battle of Britain board game, but I think it might replace it. The board game, the Battle of Britain board game's good, Kevin. It is. It's strategic though. It's completely different. And the good thing about the Battle of Britain board game is you get a ton of figures with it, so you could actually just use them for this if you just base them in individually. I've got both. I've got the board game as well. I do keep meaning to play a game of it at some point. But yes. Right, we're going to start with the German here firing. Well, this is the only firing, is it? So it's a basic fire factor. So the Germans start with 12 because they've got a lot of guns on those ME109s. He can only fire a short burst or a squirt from there, so he's going to fire a short burst, so there's no modifier. He's not on the tail. He is dead close. He is 2 hexes or less, so he gets 2 dice extra. There is nothing else, I don't think. The firer is, I think he's just a veteran. Or is it a Sprog, actually? No, it's a Sprog. It's a German Sprog, so he loses a couple, -1 dice. And I think that's it. So yeah, so he needs 5s and 6s. I'll roll that d10 as well with him. Remember this time. So it's a 2 on the d10. We need 5s and 6s to hit. So what we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, bloody hell, 6, 7 hits. And he's 3 1s. So he's got more hits than 1s. The fire is a Sprog, so he increases the number of 1s by 2 as well, so that takes it up to 5. So he's fired off 5 of his ammunition, so that's our Sprog. But he's done some 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but he's caused 7 hits on that junior ace. So now we're going to roll their defense dice. So we roll 1d6 for each of their current maneuver. Their maneuver is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dice there. 1d6 for each hex between the fire and the target. Minimum is therefore 1, so that's another 2, because they're 2 hexes away. Defender's luck. He is a junior ace, so he gets a +1. And that's it. So he needs to save a lot of these. He needs to save all. Well, he's saved 2 of them. So there you are, 5 and a 6. So 5 hits with a 2 on that. So the number of hits is 5. 2C is a really critical damage. We roll the d10 and consult the really critical damage. He's rolled a 2 cockpit hit, double star. So that, I think, causes him -3 damage, doesn't it, on the -3 firing on his when he comes to fire. Yeah, so oof, I'm going to put that on cockpit damage. Let me just 100% check that. Check up on the damage here. Exciting times. Where are we at? It was what was it? It was 2. So it's cockpit hit. Windscreen damage to fire leaking from an engine or gunsight damage. Cannot attain -3d6 when firing for the rest of the game. And then 1 column on for spotting. So cockpit damage -3d6. Well, good shooting there from the Sprog. We'll be celebrating that over a glass of schnapps later, if he survives. Let's see what else we're on to. It's the Allied firing section now. Can any of the Allies fire? No, they can't. They're all facing away from the Germans, unfortunately. Then we've got a bailout. Nobody wants to bail out just yet. And then we've got the Allied Section 1 leader. He's already moved, I believe. I think we've got the Allied Section 1 has moved, yeah, so he can't take that bonus. He can't take that card. And then we've got Axis Section 1 moves. Now we can actually move the rest of the Axis. But, given what time it is now, and it is we're coming up on 9 o'clock. I'm gonna leave it at that, because this was just kind of a demonstration really as to how the game plays, as much as anything else. I'm not really sure who I would say is winner. I think at this point the Germans have just got the edge on this, simply because they've only got 1 damaged aircraft, which is their veteran, who's got damaged cockpit. However, the Soviets have already got 1 chap who is dashing off the table, you can see here, flying away as quick as possible with his instrument damage, and the junior ace has also got cockpit damage as well. So I think I'm going to declare the Axis the winners for this one. This possibly could have gone for a couple more turns, I think, but it could have also gone for a couple more hours as well. If you enjoyed that, tell me in the chat. Give me a like as well if you're watching it and you haven't liked it yet. I've enjoyed it. What I'd like to do is come back to this at some point in the future, but maybe for a longer session, like on a Saturday or something like that, another live one. I am planning on making some more some proper videos of Bag the Hun. So this won't be the last you've seen of it, but I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you enjoyed the combat, the exciting combat that went on here. I certainly have. Another great game by the laddies. Check it out if you haven't done so already. There's plenty about it on the web out there, and even a couple of videos I've seen about it, so check those out as well. And thanks everybody for watching, and if you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe, and pass the video around and let people know that you've enjoyed it. So thanks again everyone.